Hi, my name's Claire Bickle and welcome to today's Green Thumbs Up episode. Today we're looking at how you can grow the most wonderful array of flowers and foliage and filler plants to create wonderful bunches of flowers in your own home from your garden. There's a variety of things you'll need to create these informal bunches. You can start off with your flowering bulbs and annuals. Bulbs like jonquils and freesias are wonderful, and there are so many flowering annuals like these stocks, poppies, calendulas, delphiniums, snapdragons and more. When it comes to fillers, there are wonderful things like some of your Australian natives like thryptomene, the lovely Cineraria silver Dusty Miller, and things like Geraldton wax and more. For the foliage, some of your most common garden shrubs can be used. Mock orange, magnolias, camellias, gardenias and even viburnums make wonderful green additions to that bunch. When you're thinking about heading outside, think about the time of day. Early in the morning and late in the afternoon is the best time to pick flowers as they will be their most fresh. When you are picking them, think about what size vase you're going to be using. There's no good picking a big bunch of heliconias or bird of paradise to go into a really small vase. They'll need something a bit larger. And if you are picking some of your smaller stemmed annuals, you are going to want to look at a smaller vase. And for those flowers that your children quite often pick for you with no stems, I know that my grandmother has always had this small vase and a multitude of small vases where we can put those little tiny flowers that children like to bring inside. For today's demo, we're going to show you how you can throw together a beautiful bunch of flowers that doesn't have to be too complicated, that you can pick from your garden and bring indoors. Okay, so let's start to create this bunch. For starters, we'll have a whole array of different types of foliage and fillers. Here we've got some Australian thryptomene, we've got your old-fashioned Indian hawthorn, the Raphiolepis, and we've even got some super hardy but lovely silver foliaged olive. So we can use that as the basis to work some of the more pretty flowers within this bunch. So I'm going to start off by adding some of these stocks. These are flowering stocks, and you'd plant these in the garden basically generally through the autumn months, and they come into flower in spring. Now you tend to do them in bunches so that we've got a little bit of aesthetics. But as we've said, there is no wrong or right, and by no means are we taking away from the complexities of what floral artists really do for a living. This is just about giving you guys a few tips on how you can grab some lovely flowers out of your garden, some foliage, and basically bring the outside inside in your home. Next, we've got some absolutely stunning pink roses, and these can just be sifted in amongst the bunch. But as I said, it doesn't really matter how they're placed, it's what you like. But do take into consideration where your vase is going to be. Is the vase going to be up against a wall? If that's the case, no one's going to see the back of the bunch. Is it going to be in the middle of a table where everybody's going to be able to see the bunch 360? So think about those things if you can. All right, so I've got some roses in there. I've got some lovely white stocks. I might even push a few more roses into the centre. Sometimes you need to think about colour combinations. Sometimes you can think about the heights. There's lots of different things you need to consider. For around the base of this one, we're going to put some of this silver Dusty Miller. And I reckon that can act a bit like a skirt around the bunch of flowers. Last but not least, we do have some of this absolutely stunning burgundy Queen Anne's lace. Now this is quite tall, and I probably would like to trim some of this back. Now when you are placing this in the vase, one of the top tips is to remove any of the foliage on the bottom, from below what we call the tie line. You don't want foliage sitting in the water in your vase, as it will start to rot and it can send the water off really quickly. So removing all of that excess foliage is really important. And if you're doing it outside, you can throw it straight into the compost heap. Another top tip to make sure is that when you've brought your flowers inside, recut the stems. Make sure it's a fresh cut and on an angle. This way your flowers and foliage and fillers can take up as much water effectively as possible. Another good idea is to change the water every couple of days. Fresh water means your flowers will stay fresher for longer. So I think there we have it, folks. There's a very informal bunch of flowers. And there is no right or wrong. By all means, just run outside, grab a bit of foliage, grab a few fillers and a few flowers, and enjoy your garden inside. Today's Waterwise Tip is presented by SEQ Water. It is about choosing plants for your flowers, your fillers and your foliage that are drought hardy and that don't require a lot of watering. Some plants to consider for this would be things like kangaroo paws, Geraldton wax, lavender, even proteas are a good choice. And for the foliage and fillers, things like the old Indian hawthorn, mock orange and even the olive are great drought hardy plant species. Thanks for joining us for Green Thumbs Up. We really do hope you've enjoyed this series of gardening, floristry and indoor plant top tips. Join us again next time.